Hello and welcome to the Luxury People podcast presented by the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce. My name is Antonio Paraiso, your host, and in this series we engage in insightful conversations with leading figures across the luxury sector. From accomplished entrepreneurs and distinguished brand leaders to innovators in design, hospitality, and more, this podcast provides a platform for prominent voices in luxury to share their expertise. Each episode offers in-depth discussions featuring valuable insights, compelling stories, and forward-looking ideas that influence the luxury industry. Today, I am pleased to speak with Neen James, luxury experience expert, to discuss her upcoming book, Exceptional Experiences, and dive into the complex minds of luxury consumers. Please join us for this engaging conversation. Sit back, stay curious, and enjoy. Welcome, Neen.
G'day, and isn't this exciting to be together to serve everybody?
It's lovely to have you. Thank you for joining us. Neen, you've been coaching teams and executives on creating luxury experiences for over 20 years. What originally drew you to this field, and can you share a personal story or maybe a turning point that shaped your belief that luxury is about experience and not things?
Oh, I would be honored to do that. I have been privileged to be both a keynote speaker and a confidant to CEOs of luxury and legacy brands for many, many years, as you mentioned. And if you look at my body of work, Antonio, you'll notice that a lot of the earlier things that I wrote about was about attention, because I've always believed attention is about connection. And what I believe many of our listeners understand is luxury is about human connection. And I believe this so much that I've written multiple books on this topic, including the one you referenced, the new book, Exceptional Experiences. But you know where I got my love of luxury? As a little girl, I did not come from luxury. I need to put that out there. I am from a very tiny town in Australia where we had one traffic light when I was growing up. Now, when I was a little girl, I was raised by a single mom, and we lived in a caravan. Now, in America, they call that a trailer park, so not fancy at all. But my mom was so hardworking. She would clean houses. She would pick lettuce. And she would sell fruit on the side of the road. But no matter how tired my mum was, at the end of a busy shift, she would often walk through a community garden and she would pick a flower and she would bring it home to our little caravan and she'd put it in a glass. We called it a vase because we felt fancy. And my mum reminded me, you know, we all deserve luxury. She said, no matter about money or things, everybody deserves luxury and beauty. So I think my love of luxury is from my mom. And it was my mom who showed me luxury is a mindset. And I've always believed luxury is about experiences, not things.
Beautiful story. Now, your research for this book included commissioning a study on luxury mindsets.
It did.
Could you give us a brief overview of the four, I guess there are four, right? The four luxury mindsets, and share if customers tend to connect more strongly with any one mindset?
Oh, for sure. I love this question. You see, when I first set out and I was advising so many executives, Antonio, I just assumed there would be studies on luxury as a mindset. There's plenty of studies on how luxury makes us feel, correct? That's not what I wanted to know. I wanted to know, how do we think about luxury? How does it define our decisions? How long does it take to make a decision? Who influences the decision? How does it affect our confidence, our professional development? And because there was no study of its kind, I commissioned one. So it's the only research study of its kind in the world, which I'm excited about. So there's not one mindset. You're right. There's four, and here's what they are at the highest level. The first of the luxury mindsets is called the reluctant and removed. To this person, Antonio, luxury is hard. They think brands don't understand them. They feel a little guilty if they purchase luxury because they're busy and overwhelmed. If if you want to speak to this customer, speak their luxury language, you need to share with them how what you're offering will make their lives easier and save them time. That's my reluctant and removed. The second mindset, this is the pro-prioritizer mindset. We call them that because they use luxury like power, meaning they use it to advance their career and their reputation. They love working with brands who have longevity, who have authenticity, and they're very focused on sustainability. They want to know how your brand is going to make an environmental or societal impact. If you want to speak their luxury language, talk about sustainability. Talk about how what your product and service is going to do to advance their reputation and career. Then we have the third of the luxury mindsets. This is our confident and content. This person is someone who says, I don't need luxury. But you know how they use it? They use it to create memories with people they care about. So this is the person who often I find many of my luxury travel advisors are choosing this career, and they're often confident and content because they're creating memories for others. So to speak their luxury language.
They don't buy for themselves.
Exactly. And then we have the fourth, Antonio, which is the one I think all our listeners are going to be most interested in. And this is the one we call the luxury lover. The luxury lover says, I'm worth it. Luxury for everyone, every day. The luxury lover believes everybody deserves luxury. And they use luxury, they wear luxury, they speak luxury not because they're showing off, because they want to share it with the world. And here's what you need to know about the luxury lover. To speak their luxury language, you want to share how what you're offering is behind the scenes, exclusive access. They love that bespoke, curated experience. Now, here's what's really fascinating that I want people to really tune into. Luxury lover has a big mouth. They are the people who tell everybody about your product and service. So they're the best people to be advocates for your brand. So to all of you listening, I want you to think about the kind of clientele that you serve and who you can best really recruit to be your advocates. I would start with the luxury lover and also the pro-prioritizer. And here's why the luxury lover is also interesting, Antonio, is because it influences the other four mindsets more than anything else. And if you're listening to this and you would like to discover your own luxury mindset, we can include that in the show notes because we have a self-assessment. Takes less than 5 minutes to do. It's free, and you can find out your own. So what you want to think about as you're listening to this podcast is, number one, what's your luxury mindset? And number two, what's the luxury mindset of the clients that you want to attract? Because you need to speak their luxury language.
That's nice. Very nice. And I find it very interesting that you have commissioned a study yourself in order to have material for your book. This is fascinating. Congratulations.
Thank you, because I think when it comes to thought leadership, what we don't want to do is just repeat everyone else's content.
Exactly.
We need to have, and I am consulting to CEOs of luxury brands. I don't just go into their office and say, so luxury is a mindset. They're like, okay, Neen, show me evidence. And so I needed evidence and research data of my own. And now what I'm so proud of is some of our members, many of my clients, they quote this research often, and it's more detailed in the book, Exceptional Experiences.
Fascinating. And I know you've created as well the experience elevation model.
I have.
So, and this model that you have crafted as a contextual model to help illustrate the 5 luxury levers to capture the customer's attention. Can you explain, please, these 5 levers?
I would be honored to. You see, in my body of work, remember I said I was really focused on attention. Attention's about connection. So I thought, how do brands capture the attention of new clients, but also existing clients? And what I want is for them to be able to be top of mind. Let's call that mind share. And what I realized working with so many luxury brands that I consult to in my research is it's not just about capturing attention, it's about creating advocates. So I created the experience elevation model to not only capture mind share, but to drive market share. And I believe advocates help us do that. So let's go through the 5 luxury levers. As you're listening to this, imagine there's a triangle. Let's start at the bottom. The first of the luxury levers is entice. Entice is where you are really trying to capture the attention of clientele with storytelling and really creative collaborations. And then the next level is invite. This is where you invite people into your community by speaking the luxury language and giving them a sense of belonging. Then we move to the third luxury lever. This is the one I love. This is excite. This is how you engage them and give them this share-worthy experience by engaging all 5 of the senses.
Yes.
Then we move to delight. Delight is so fun because this is where we're really thinking about showing them that we know them so well that we make our clients feel seen and heard. And then we move to the pinnacle in the triangle, which is ignite, which is igniting these advocates. We take these satisfied clients and we create them as advocates. Because think about it, if we have advocates out there for our brand, Antonio, they act like an extension of our sales and marketing team. They tell everyone about what it is that we do. So it's mind share and market share and being able to elevate every aspect of your business.
And what is interesting is that this experience elevation model is not a step-by-step process.
Correct.
Brands can start at different levers,
yes,
right?
Sure.
At different entry points. So my question is, what kind, or better said, what key benchmarks or signals help determine where the brand should begin and when it's time to shift focus? Is there such a moment?
Yeah, I think if you have trouble like getting the initial conversation happening or attracting customers, you would start with that first entice. You would creatively collaborate and think about ways you could tell your story differently to capture their attention. But maybe you have clients who maybe they don't feel very valued by you. So maybe you would jump into the lever of invite. So it's here that you would be then able to give them the red carpet experience so that they feel like they are the most important client you have. Or perhaps some of the experiences you have are feeling really kind of flat. Maybe you want to jump to this level of excite and think, how could I engage the 5 senses more? How could I create share-worthy, Instagrammable moments? And so what I want brands to think about is, regardless of where you are on your journey, think about the challenge you're facing, and then look to the lever that will provide what we call a system of elevation, a system that you can implement. And in the system elevation, in the experience elevation model, Antonio, there are key questions you ask yourself as a brand at each level, which are outlined in the book as well. So depending on the need you have, you can jump to any of the levers, but just think about what's the concern you have. And then chances are there's a system of elevation in the book that'll help you fix it.
Fantastic. Neen, in your book, you also mention that in order to create more luxurious experiences for your customers, for leaders should lead with a luxury mindset. Well, I couldn't agree more. My question is, what does it mean to lead with a luxury mindset? And what are some of your favorite tools to offer to leaders who want to build up their luxury toolkit?
Think about how many wonderful hoteliers we have at the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah.
And hoteliers know that too often I think there are managers who think like a bellhop, and a bellhop is vital. You and I both know they move the bags through the lobby to your room efficiently. But so many managers are thinking like a bellhop. They're crossing things off their to-do list. They're running from one meeting to the next. They're trying to just get to the bottom of their to-do list. And that's thinking like a bellhop. I think that luxury leaders need to think like a concierge. that we have to be able to create moments that matter. Think about a concierge. They have all the secret, amazing opportunities to get you into that fabulous restaurant or that ticket that you couldn't get. And here's what a concierge does well. They anticipate needs you didn't even know you had. And so I want to challenge listeners to think like a concierge, not a bellhop. And then what you're doing is you're thinking about, okay, how can I truly pay attention and be so thoughtful in the way what I call systemized thoughtfulness. So you can add to your toolkit these strategies, these systems. And I think one of the things that's really important about that is this model that I have, this framework. You can all add that to your toolkit. Because I guarantee when you look at this model and you read some of these ideas, regardless of what business you're in, you will be able to find ways that you can be more personalizing, because personalization requires information. You can customize more, which really requires connection. And then lastly, fascination, which that requires anticipation. So think about in your luxury toolkit, personalization, customization, fascination, and think like a concierge, not a bellhop.
Brilliant. That's very, very interesting, because indeed each client is different, and you really need a mindset shift in order to understand how your customer thinks and feels.
For sure.
Very nice. Now, let's move on to a little bit more practical, hands-on implementation. And I know that in your book, you encourage readers to create champagne moments. I find this expression so nice. What is a champagne moment exactly? And what are some practical ways someone could implement those moments in their own industries?
I love this question. A champagne moment is where you take something ordinary and make it extraordinary. It's something that makes you smile, brings you joy. Think of the bubbles in a champagne glass that bring you that absolute joy and celebration. And so what I believe champagne moments are could be different for all of you. It might be sipping your coffee out of a Tiffany teapot because it's just special. It might be about meditating a little longer. It might be about spending a little longer with one of the children of your clients to give them that gift of your undivided attention. A champagne moment is something that brings you joy. And there's so many ways we can do that for ourselves on a daily basis, but also for our clients. It could be simply refreshing your lobby with fresh flowers rather than plastic. It could be updating the magazines to the current magazine as opposed to the old issues that some of these lobbies have. It could be refreshing your team area. In hotels, we have the concept of front of house, back of house. My challenge to our listeners, to our hoteliers is, does your back of house match your front of house? Are you creating champagne moments for your team because they're the ones serving your clients? Are you making them feel really special? The stealth message of my book is how to make people feel seen, heard, and valued. And we all can do that by looking for these champagne moments every single day.
I love that. I love that. Very, very interesting. How can you make your client feel special and valued?
Correct. And retail does this so well, Antonio. Think about it. When you walk into a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel store, they offer you water on a tray. They don't just hand you a bottle. They have a bottle on a tray with a napkin or a serviette, depending on where you are in the world, right? Because it's that little touch. You didn't know you needed water, but now you're going to take it because they have offered it to you. My local Chanel store knows I love sparkling water more than flat, so they always make sure they offer me sparkling water because they know my preference. That is personalization, customization.
That's a champagne moment,
even
if it is with water.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to literally be champagne, but I love some bubbly water, whether it is water or champagne.
Very nice. Most of the techniques you list in your book require creativity and a commitment to implementation. What would you say to organizations and leaders that say things like, oh, we're not so creative, or we don't have the budget or the resources to create red carpet experiences?
I would say
do we need big budgets
don't believe you.
for that?
When someone says they're not creative, I say, I don't believe you. Now, here's why I would say that. I've always believed luxury is about the human connection. And think about attention. Antonio, attention is free. You don't need a big budget to give someone the gift of your undivided attention. So I would start with thinking about thoughtful ways that you could pay attention. Using people's names costs you nothing. Getting the spelling correct on their name costs you nothing, but it requires that focus and attention. Say that some of the best luxury experiences don't always cost anything. It is about how you make people feel seen and heard. And I think things like, gosh, a handwritten note. If you think about, let's go back to our hoteliers. When the general manager writes a welcome note to the guest, and they often send it with an amenity, it might mean the world to that particular guest. I'll never forget one of the hotels I stayed in, and it was the AKA, and they had a hotel dog who I loved. They made sure when I checked in, the dog was there to meet me because I stay there quite regularly at Alexandria, aka Alexandra. And when I got to my room, Antonio, they had a framed photo of me and the dog. They had a love letter from the dog with his paw print on it. It was the cutest thing. And that cost them less than $5, I'm sure. Yes. How amazing is that experience?
That's just creativity. They have to be creative.
And it's about really thinking, how can I personalize or customize this experience so it can be more exceptional? And we need to look for these opportunities because we need to know everybody deserves luxury. And they deserve us to commit to be creative in the way we deliver that exceptional experience.
Fabulous. Neen, time flies, and time this time has flown away. So I would like to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your vision and what truly makes an experience exceptional. Your work challenges brands to go beyond transactions and create unforgettable moments that linger in people's hearts. So thank you very much for being with us today. For our listeners, you can connect with Neen through her website, www.neenjames.com, as well as on her socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube at Neen James. And you can also order, or pre-order, I should say, the Exceptional Experiences book now. And as always, thank you for joining us on the Luxury People's podcast by the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce, where we uncover ideas, people, and stories shaping the future of luxury. Please follow the Chamber of Commerce in the website worldluxurychamber.com, as well as on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And until next time, keep creating champagne moments. Thank you very much.